maybe start off with you, Mzwandile, Masina. I suppose when they talk about the tough thing about being an incumbent is that you often have to take so much responsibility as people that are in charge. There are some, you've heard what the residents have been raising here. Maybe let's start with the issue of NHI, and then I'll make that a central theme among other representatives here to respond to. There's a young person who says, we still don't really understand what the benefit is to us. How do you explain it in simpler terms, this national health insurance policy?
Thank you very much, Clement, and thanks to all the residents who have showed up and asked critical questions. What the Department of Health has done after the NHI was signed was to produce a pamphlet basically simplifying how the NHI is going to work and how it's going to be phased in. Basically, it's around dealing with the two-tier system, health system that has been going on, where almost 15% of the community has got medical aid, about 84% or so does not have medical aid, and yet all of us are paying tax. So what is going to happen over time is that the government is going to make sure that there is equal health opportunity for all the residents. And that pamphlet is going to be released so that all our people can get to appreciate over time. So we're happy that as a first step, the universal health access is going to be made available to all our people in South Africa. Thank you.
Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, as the EFF, I remember when the policy was, well, the bill was passed in Parliament, as the EFF, you had responded in that you welcome it. Now that it's been signed into law by the President, what's your position as the EFF?
Well, in its current form, the NHI is a basic electoral farce. And nobody in South Africa, at least for the next 5 years, and that is at least, is going to get access to medical private health care based on that bill. It's got problematic clauses, and I'll just mention one that is a fundamental human rights violation. For an example, they say only people who are registered in the NHI will then get access to treatment, or they will get access to health care. The reason why we wanted universal access to health care is precisely to undermine the barrier that private capital extraction creates to access to health care. So if I get in an accident and I'm in South Africa, I must be treated to any near hospital, regardless of whether it's private or public. And the NHI is consistent with that barrier. There are other problems that where the entire public healthcare system is going to collapse, and all you're going to have are private capital profit extractors who are making money out of something as crucial as people's health care. Our solution would have been, in the main, removing those barriers, but to conceptualize a healthcare system that is preventative. And that occurs on the basis of strengthening primary health care, opening clinics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Every clinic must have a doctor, and the community clinic has to be engaged not only with medication, but with public education around healthcare issues in relation to disease, in relation to food, how to eat, and all those things. And that particular model extends the lives of people and prevents disease. And then absolutely, in the end, the overburdenedness of the healthcare system gets resolved really by a powerful primary healthcare capability.
So that's what you propose as the EFF, you would structure this universal healthcare if you come into power?
Absolutely. We wouldn't allow a barrier that says you must first be registered. If you're not registered, you can't get access to health care. Two, there's nothing in relation to the strengthening of the primary healthcare system. You must have people prevent. You mustn't have people get sick so you can take them to private profit-driven institutions to make money out of them. They're going to loot the state, the private healthcare profiteers. They're going to loot the state with this thing. They are not above the corruption barrier. So we wouldn't have done that. We would have removed those barriers on the one hand and pump a lot of money into the primary healthcare system that must be preventative of diseases.
Right. So the question, Mzwandile Masina, is can South Africans trust you as the ANC with 400 billion rand plus when we have seen in the past that money has been misspent, has been mismanaged, but also has been stolen by some of your comrades?
Look, if you look at the fiscus on an annual basis and over the past 8 years, you can tell that the ANC can be trusted. There's a number of things that we've been able to do in the main. And amongst those things that the ANC...
Okay. All right, guys, let's give him the opportunity. They don't believe you. Let's give him the opportunity to conclude. Guys. Oh, all right. You can respond, but let's also give them the opportunity to respond. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I want to say, for instance, in the health sector, if you use it as an example, we've built over 15,000 clinics and about 50 hospitals, and there aren't a lot of instances of corruption and so on and so on. So I'm saying that in the bigger scheme of things, the 400 billion for NHI compared to what the ANC government is managing in the national government, in the provincial government and municipalities where the ANC is in control, is trillions of rands, which continues to provide different services. We've built over 5 million houses, and we continue to build schools in South Africa. We are building universities. All those things have been possible over the past 8 years in terms of the track record of the African National Congress.
Yeah.
So I am not surprised, because we are a few days before the elections, so everyone must try and earn some points here. But the reality is that the ANC-led government has been able to lay out infrastructure in South Africa extensively. The road, rail infrastructure, the hospitals, the schools, the universities. We've been building bridges and so on and so on. There is a lot of infrastructure that the ANC has been able to manage to build. So I think that it will be a misnomer for anybody to think that 400 billion in the hands of the ANC will amount to corruption. But also there was a question that was raised here about what is the ANC doing specifically with regard to dealing with issues of corruption where there have been instances. The ANC is implementing a Zondo Commission report and dealing with every individual who is affected in the Zondo Commission's report. So we have no doubt that some of the cases will soon be going to courts. The law enforcement agencies are doing everything possible to ensure that there is prosecution on the wrongdoings.
Including Zizi Kodwa's case?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to speak about individuals. I want to say that everyone who has been mentioned and for wrongdoings, the law enforcement agencies supported by the African National Congress are going to ensure that we're able to deal with those issues.
All right, before we get to the issue of immigration and the township economy, just clarity on the timing, because there's an impression being created, and I said this to the president yesterday, Mzwandile, that this NHI is somehow going to be the fixer after the 29th of May. But the reality here is that it's going to be implemented gradually and in phases. But there are some ANC leaders who are creating an impression for politicking reasons that, oh, vote for us because after the elections, you're going to be able to actually have access to this kind of quality health care. Can you clarify to the residents in Soweto that that's actually not the case? This reality is probably going to be seen probably in about 6, if you are lucky, because this is still going to go through the courts.
Look, the starting point with any policy in government is that we've got to prepare. A lot of work has been done to prepare for NHI. For instance, the Department of Health has been building a lot of community health centers across the country to ensure that at the point of rolling out, we are ready. But obviously, I think this is going to be a phase-in approach over the next 4 to 6 years to ensure that everybody is I was saying to the colleagues here, Comrade Ndlozi, that like anything, we can't we can't make the point that is being made by the EFF to say to register is a hindrance, because you can imagine already in the health institutions currently, we have a lot of people who are receiving services, and the very same community of South Africans are complaining. So if the NHI is a free-for-all, it's going to be problematic. It will be important to ensure that every person or every citizen gets to register so that we know who are the people who have, and it's not going to discriminate on the basis whether you have a job or you don't have a job.
Yeah.
We are going to ensure that all South Africans are registered in the system, and they can then get to benefit on
Clement, every child that is born in a hospital. Why don't you know your children? Why don't you know the South African citizens? Why must they register? Because every child that is born has a birth certificate. Why must they re-register? That's a barrier. Because if I'm 12 years old, I get in an accident, why must I first register for NHI before I get... You already know me. I was born in your hospital. I'm in a schooling system. I'm on a child grant. There are so many registrations, including just being born. You tell me I'm a South African, I'm not a South African, I'm a female, you even know that I'm Zulu or not. So which registration? Universal access to health care means when I have a problem, I go to a health institution and I get helped regardless of how much I have in my pocket, regardless of the color of my skin. That's what it means. Let's stop playing games.
What Dr. Ndlozi is saying, questions were being raised here. Just take an example of the spaza shops that are run by foreign nationals. There is a major issue, there's a major complaint here. Many other parties are having different policy position with regard to foreign nationals. One of the constraints in the health institutions currently is that you have a lot of people who cross borders to come and access health services here. It's important. It will be important that we prioritize South Africans in ensuring that they become the first beneficiaries of the NHI.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Dr. Ndlozi, how do you respond to that? The issue around foreign nationals, and how do you then differentiate between the people who are supposed to be prioritized with this system and the people that may come here that may not have the necessary papers to access some of the services that are, according to the NHI, are only reserved for South Africans or people with legitimate documentation?
I know that Mzwandile goes to Dubai a lot. When you are in Dubai and you get in the... When you are in Dubai, I'm giving you an example. When you are in Dubai, you are a foreigner there, and then you get in an accident, you must be helped. Universal access to healthcare. That's what it means. It's a human right. The difference here is the question of documentation. It's not foreigner and non-foreigner. You should know who are the foreigners. If you've got your systems in place that are documented.
And we don't have our
But here's the problem. We are talking NHI. I'm going to address the question of immigration in a moment. I don't want to belong in a country where a person that is dying cannot get help because they are a foreigner. I don't know that I want that face of inhumanity. I don't believe in that. But you know who are the South Africans because they are born in your hospitals. He can't deny that. You know, you've got them in the system. When they go to crash, they register. When they go to primary school, they register. Everywhere, you know who they are. Why are you saying they must register first before they get health care?
Dr. Ndlozi. But I hear that. But the reality is, we live in a country where Home Affairs to this day cannot tell us how many illegal immigrants we have. So how do you... I could be an illegal immigrant in South Africa who has deliberately come here to do whatever, and I get into a private hospital. How do they know whether or not I should be having access to the kind of services
Clement,
that the NHI should produce.
let's not waste time on self-answering questions. You have a record of South Africans. So if I'm not on the record of South Africans, who am I? Do you understand what I mean? That's number one. So you cannot use that. You cannot use that as an excuse in the act that people must first register for NHI in order for them to get access to healthcare because you are scared someone from Zimbabwe might enter the hospital.
Yeah.
You know who are the South Africans because they were born in your hospitals. You know who are the record of South Africans you have. If you've got an integrated, intelligible government that does its job with the billions and the trillions that it has, you've got the record of who the South Africans are, and you must service them.
Okay.
You don't have any excuse.
But can I just
Quickly, yeah, and then Zan.
You know, I really think that we are hampering on the non-points as far as I'm concerned because, you know, Dr. Ndlozi knows probably is the highest educated person here in this room, right? Even when he was going for his PhD, he had to register because it's not that they don't know that he was studying at VETS. At any given time, you've got to put systems in place so that you know exactly who you're dealing with. So there is nothing wrong.